welcome to Rallotech Sports, Health, and Fitness Podcast, Episode 1. Today is March 8th, 2024. It's been a minute since my last podcast, which was February 20th. However, this is Episode 1, as the introduction of Episode 1 was February 20th. With that being said, I just want to thank everybody that was able to tune in for my last, my first and my last introduction episode. And I want to welcome my audience to Episode 1, because the introduction is done. Now we're on to Episode 1. Yeah, so continuing on my last podcast introduction there. As I said, like just a little snippet, since age 10, I have been a fan of basketball, a player of basketball, and now an organizer, a referee. I also coach as well, and I'm planning to do my first skill challenge with a couple people I met through basketball. So with that being said, I'm just gonna continue it, where I left off. So, age 10, the intriguing thing about how basketball can impact your life is you've seen people that you watch on TV do things in the community, provide people with opportunity that they would never get outside of, being in those circles. So when I would say between age 10 to 15, the passion for playing basketball and playing at an elite level, even though you know that, there's a slim chance to none of you making it to the NBA, you still have those dreams. And you still work on those dreams while living your life. And it doesn't become a reality until you get to a certain age where you can say, you know what? I am going to do the best with what I have. And whatever happens from here, I'm just going to take it as it gives, life into what I'm doing. So with that being said, I kept playing basketball over the years from age 10, as I said, I started, age 11, 12, 13, 14, up to 15. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play. I'm going to somehow play for a high school and all of that stuff. And, after, in Jamaica, I'll say this, when you're 10 years old, you're in grade 5. Grade 6 is 11. Grade 7, you're between 12 and 13, and onwards. So, when I hit 11, 12, I'm going into grade 7. By the age 13, I'm going into grade 8. And there is no basketball in the high school that I went to. There's no basketball in the primary school that I went to. So all it's going to take is for me to try to find like a club. At the time, there wasn't stuff like that in Jamaica. And I'm talking about, let's see, age 11, age 12, that would be 94, 95. There's no huge basketball programs in high school down there. And to my surprise, I'm going to a school called Cambridge Comprehensive High School, where it's non-existent. It's track and field, cricket, and soccer. That's all we have at our high school. And I can't give them a hard time for it because we didn't know better. We didn't know that other sports such as basketball or any other sport other than those three would have impact on kids' life. So as I said, between age, I'm going to even push it further. Between age 11, 12, right up to 18, there was no basketball at my high school. No basketball whatsoever. So I was like, you know what? I can't even be mad that there's no basketball there. I just got to work with what I have. So moving forward, I'm like, you know what? We'll play basketball in the afternoon, keep working on my skills, and go from there. To I think grade 8 and 9, up to between grade 8, 9, 10, and 11, we got this awesome idea that we are going to start playing basketball on the netball court, because there was netball too, but netball wasn't as popular as track and field and cricket and soccer. Those were the big three, right? Um, the netball court was run down. It was pavement. We call it asphalt, or asphalt, I think it's called, which is like driving on the road, driving on pavement. You know what I mean? So it's playing basketball on something like that was normal for us, because we don't have wooden floor indoor court at those at that time in my life. There was indoor court was a pipe dream. You only watch that type of stuff on TV. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do what I can with what I have. So as I said, grade 8, 9, 10, 11, which when you're in grade 11, you're close to graduation. You're at the end of that grade 11, you're graduating from high school. So grade 8, 9, 10, and 11, I played basketball almost daily at lunchtime on the netball court. Like, if there's no rain, basketball is being played, and it's a half court. We have half of the court playing basketball. Everybody else would be watching. And I kid you not, it felt like we were playing, the best of the best. I kid you not, grade 8, 9, 10, 11, there was a kid in my school, which I think he was like 6'7", 6'8", tall guy, real tall. And I remember on a daily, as I said, if there's no rain, we're playing ball, we had matchups. And yeah, to be honest with you, it was good matchup, because no matter who was in front of me, I was gonna drive to that hoop and make a layup with a backboard missing from the netball hoop. If you know what a netball hoop looks like, there's no backboard. So you're shooting on these netball hoop, and if you miss, it's either an air ball, or you're gonna hit the rim and it's gonna bounce out of bounds, or you're gonna have to catch it before it goes out of bounds. So, as I said, back then, it was one of those things where you have the opportunity to do as much as you can do with this netball court, but it's in the span of 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Those were your time frame to play basketball on the netball court. And we'd have battles on the court, playing in our uniforms, because in Jamaica, you have uniforms that you go to school with. You don't go to school in casual wear. So you're going to school in your uniform, and we're not changing out of our uniform to play basketball. We're not playing in basketball shoes either. But then there was some type of Chinese ripoff as a work boot, and that's what you would play basketball in. Unless you buy some runners that was cheap, that's what you're going to play ball in, no matter what. So I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I got to do what I have to do when we're playing ball. So we don't have any nice Nike shoes, or back then Fila was a big brand as well, or they call it Fila, Fila. Reebok was big too. Adidas was big. Jordans and Kobe was not big back then. I think Kobe was with Adidas back in 94, 95, right up until 97, where I don't even think Kobe came to the NBA until 97. So I would say between 96 to the year 2000 when I graduated. 2000 was the year that I graduated from high school. Jordan was the biggest brand in basketball, and Adidas, because the brands out there were, Converse was big too. I remember that Converse was a big basketball shoes, but I've never wore a Converse to play basketball, which was odd. But again, this was my high school period between age, say, 12 to 18. So fast forward a little bit. I remember when I think it was the summer of '97. We were playing on the basketball court, and no matter, I think around that time, we thought, you know what, we can do whatever we want on this netball court, and we're gonna have competition every day. And it wasn't scheduled; it was just random competition. So it was it was fun because it's like it gave you something to do that you could have. I'll say this just to give some insight to why I say that it was fun playing on the netball court. In the eighth grade, when I actually started high school in the eighth grade instead of seventh grade, because my transition from primary school to high school, I did an all age school, and all ages from, you start at grade 1 all the way up to until grade 9, and then you go to high school. So I was like, I'll do 1 year at Salem all age school for grade 7, because I didn't make it to high school that was kind of in St. James. So that's how I ended up at Cambridge High School. So I did Salem all age school for 1 year for grade 7. And then Cambridge Comprehensive High School was the high school that my brother went to. So I went to Cambridge at grade 8, 9, 10, and 11. So that's why, most of the basketball competition that happened at Cambridge Comprehensive High School was between grade 8 to 11. So when I got to Cambridge, I remember I arrived the same time a couple of, like, we call him rude boy coming into high school was going to the same high school I was. And these guys, we click right away. Like, I don't know. I'm one of those people. I'm chatty. We laugh around. We can either be friends or we just don't mess with each other. But I remember, like, right off the hop, the first day, me and these guys click, like, really click. And it's like, it was one of those things where I'm like, these guys might be trouble, but I don't care. You got to give people a chance to show you their true potential, because you never know. Somebody like that could see me in the future and save my life, because they know me from high school, and I was one of those guys that write them off as they're no good or they're this or they're that, because everybody has good and evil. Everybody has to battle good and evil. So regardless of how you battle your demons, I call it, you have the fight between you and your demons, and God is on your side always. So God's gonna protect you from whatever battle you're going through. Saying that, these guys, I can say this: they didn't have guidance growing up, and these guys were out of the ghetto. If you guys look up Canterbury, in Jamaica, it's one of, like, we call it the gun arc. Like, these are gun area communities, and that's where these guys were from. So I had experience living there with my sister for a year when I went to, on and off for a year, when I went to Salem all age school. And I'd leave Salem and I'd go to Canterbury where my sister lives. And, the rest is history. Like, you meet people from there where you can relate that, yeah, they might have rough upbringing, but they're still good people. To say the least, they're still good people. Like, when circumstances comes where you have to decide that, hey, I am going to go to school today, or I'm going to make sure that I have supper on the table, or we Jamaican will be like, yo, I gotta look something for dinner, You understand? So it's one of those things where you're going to choose having a hot meal at the end of the day instead of, like, going to school. And I could relate with those guys, because there's times where, with my parents, the helpful part of it is they ran, like, I call it a 7-Eleven with a restaurant on it. So we call it a cook shop back home. And my parents ran that before I was born. And I'll get home from school and there was a hot meal. Like I'll get off the bus where coming from where I live in, as I said, I grew up in Reading St. James, which is just 20 minutes outside of Montego Bay. I would come home from school, stop at my mom's shop, and there was hot meal there because they had a restaurant plus a grocery store. So that's why I said it's like a 7-Eleven. So there's hot food plus you can pick up groceries for going home to go cook a hot meal. So with these guys, the first link up that we had was like, yo, I'm gonna find where the best weed spot is in Cambridge. So I was like, all right then. And I don't smoke. I don't smoke weed like how I grew up with a lot of guys that smoke weed. But that inclusion as a young man, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna go with them. So I remember grade 7, leaving Salem, I met a lot of characters like that. So going to Cambridge Comprehensive High School in grade 8, those guys were normal to me. I mess with them. I could say literally, like, I understand where these guys are coming from. So when we had our first link up and, you know, these guys are like, yo, we're going to go smoke some weed. At that point, you know, the godliness in me, or the spirit of good over evil, was like, yo, I can't really keep doing this with these guys. Like, I know, you know, I want to find my tribe, but this is not how I'm going to find my tribe. And over the course of, I'd say 3-4 months in grade 8, intermediately I'd go with them and go hang out at this spot. They'll get some good weed. But again, as I said, I don't smoke and I've never subscribed to that type of lifestyle. So I'll go with them for the link up part of it instead of the, you know, go smoke weed and skip school for the whole day. So when I realized more and more, like, yo, these guys we're wasting time with our life. We're literally wasting life just trying to be friends and so on. So, I mean, I would say the 4th month, I'm like, yo, boys, I can't keep doing this. I gotta dip. Like, I gotta start making good grades in school and whatnot. And they're like, all right, man, we'll link up either way. I'm like, sure. You know, like, I'm not casting them away. Like, you know, I don't no longer want to be friends with them. I just can't keep doing the same thing they're doing because I didn't see that as progress in a youth like myself trying to navigate through high school. So probably 6 months, 7 months in as normally I think you go for close to 10 months in school with breaks between Christmas and Easter and so on. So I'd say midway through, I'd say about 6 months into high school, grade 8, I found out that homeboy that I was hanging out with got expelled. And I didn't know the full details of what happened, but rumor is he got into it with some gang member in that community of Cambridge. And he decided, you know what? These guys can't mess with me. I'm going to bring my strap, a.k.a. my gun, to school and let them know that they really can't mess with me. Principal got wind of what's going on, pulled the kid into the office. He was smart enough, he hand off the hardware to a friend so they could hide it so he wouldn't get caught with a gun, so police would be involved. And lo and behold, I think it was like January. So we started school in September. By January or February, Vince was the guy's name. I can't remember his last name, but Vince. I remember it because it was like, in my mind, it was, you know, it was like yesterday when I'm going back down memory lane. Vince got sent home, expelled from high school in grade 8 for bringing a gun to school. So I was like, man, I can't go like that. In my mind, I'm like, I gotta finish high school. No matter what's going on with, you know, these guys that I wanted to hang out with, I gotta finish high school. I can't let this define my future. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna focus more on school and play basketball during school and play basketball after school, and don't let any of that distraction of, you know, wanting to find my tribe get me expelled like how I saw my homeboy got expelled. And it was tough because, as I said, I was trying to find my tribe. And using my experience growing a year of my life in, I call it the ghetto because Canterbury was the ghetto, was like almost got me expelled because if I was still associated with them, they would be calling me in the office and whatnot. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on what I fell in love with at age 10 and just keep playing basketball. And not following guys that want to go smoke weed or want to go mess around with whatever to end up being expelled like those guys get expelled. Because there was a couple of them that got expelled, but I can't remember Vince and one of his homeboy got expelled. And I was like, no, I can't go out like that. I decided I won't go out like that. So needless to say, I was more focusing on sports now. And in my mind, I'm like, sports is not going to get me expelled. Whether I play for, if Cambridge at the time had a high school basketball team, I would play for them, but they didn't. So when I started playing ball more intensely now on the netball court, as I said, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, and grade 11, I was playing basketball religiously every lunchtime. Like I literally walked to school with my basketball in hand, with my basketball, because we didn't have lockers and all of that stuff that we had. You have to have your backpack filled with books, and that was how you have your what do you call it, your study guide for that day or for the week in your backpack. So I remember my backpack was filled with books and my basketball in hand, going to school every day. So for grade 8, 9, 10, and 11, so for 4 years, that's all I would study is, okay, how would Michael Jordan do this move in a game? And during my lunchtime, I'll practice that move on somebody that's bigger than me. Because I think it was like I'd say between 5'3", 5'4", and chubby. I was a chubby high school kid. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to figure out how, Jordan would do this move on somebody, because before in my mind, before Jordan left the NBA to go play baseball, I would watch that guy go against, I think before he left, he was going up against the bad boy Pistons. And that would be between the early 90s to when he left, I think, in 94. So, as I said, like, in my mind, I'm like, if you're gonna practice what you love and work on your I don't know, like, have those type of skills in your back, you're gonna have to watch and go practice and try to get those moves padded. So every lunchtime I would do the same thing, practice against guys that some of them don't even play basketball, but it's like the spirit of competition. They play soccer, so they know how to play defense, but they don't know how to dribble the ball, drive to the rack, none of that stuff, right? But they'll be good defenders because they're gonna foul you for sure, and they're gonna try to steal a ball. That was the intention, because as much as some Jamaicans don't play basketball, they watch basketball on TV. And when you had those two TV stations, that's all you're gonna watch. It used to be, back then it was CVM and JBC, Jamaica Broadcasting. JBC was Jamaica Broadcasting channel or something like that. I know JBC and CVM was the two channels we have. So, those Rabbit Ears TV, 2 channels, that's what you had. And there was news and the best basketball game that was playing that afternoon. That would be on the TV. And most of the time it was Chicago Bulls. So as I said, I would study what I see in the game from Michael Jordan and then go practice it at school. Fast forward a little bit. I think it was grade 9 and 10. I had a buddy of mine, I think his name was Kim, which I guess Kim was a neutral name back in those times, and even now, where they actually love basketball too. So I had basketball friends at this point, where him and his cousin was like big into basketball. So I was like, yeah, I had that type of competition that I can go up against people that actually plays and can give me some type of competition while we're playing ball. And as I said, keep in mind we're playing on a netball court, so there was nets on the netball court. So if you make a good shot, it was fulfilling because it's like it would rattle the net, and even if it's a swish, it would rattle the net and just go in. So you have to work on your shots. But at the end of the day, when you make an air ball, it kind of sucked. And at that time, we had audience during lunchtime to watch us play half-court basketball. So there was a lot of people watching you. So you want to show off and show out for the crowd. So going grade what? At this point, grade 8, 9, 10, I felt like I was a superstar in the school because everybody knew that I can play ball. Everybody knew that I was a ball player. And as I said, like every day, I'd bring my basketball to school. And every day, people would be lining up on the, there was like the netball court, which was also a parking lot for the teachers. But they would be kind enough to park their cars on the other side of the netball court. So even teachers would come out and watch us. That's how great it felt to watch, to come and watch like these young boys going against each other. And it's not like watching a soccer game or what we call it, football game or cricket. It was during their lunchtime something to come out and watch. So people would go and buy their lunch because we didn't have lunch that we brought to school. We'd have to go buy our lunch, and it'll cost you between $50 and $60, and then people would come and watch you play. So we'll play for 45 minutes, close to an hour, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and then that 10 minutes before the bell rang, before you have to go back to class. So we'll play ball right up until the bell rang, and then we go back to class. So it was a great experience. So I think grade 10 and 11, we had guys that would come and challenge me. And I mean, like, I had senior guys in grade 10 that would challenge me to come play ball, and I would roll ankles. No word of a lie. There's a few times where the competition was good, where we felt 50-50. But then after a couple games, I'm like, all right, I know how he plays defense. I'm just gonna, and in my mind, I didn't even realize that I was doing that. But I was studying how he's playing the defense, and then almost like breaking down how I'm gonna overcome the defense that I'm getting put into. Because they don't play pick and roll. They don't play, all right, we're gonna play a 3-2 defense. One guy in the middle, two on the baseline, two up top. It wasn't like that. It was more like, all right, you mark this guy, and that's how they play defense. So I was like, all right, cool. If that's what you're gonna send to me, I'm gonna drive and dish. That was one of my things. It's like, if I'm getting double team, driving to the rack, I have somebody to dish it to. So I have that pass that's gonna be open for somebody to take the shot. And because I know that the netball hoop does not have a backboard, when they shoot, if they miss, I'm gonna be under the netball hoop close enough to catch the ball and make a basket. It's like making a putback. So most days when we're playing, most of the shot wasn't a 3-point shot. There was no Steph Curry shooting a 3. There was more like, hey, you're going to drive to the paint, make a layup. Or if you're going to shoot like a mid-range, and somebody's going to be right beside the hoop to catch your rebound if you miss and get a putback. So, needless to say, we had a lot of guys that decide that, hey, we're going to shoot this shot. We don't care if it goes in, but somebody's down there to pick up the rebound and put it back. Like, make the shot if you miss. Like, you get the rebound and go right back up and make the shot if my teammate miss. But, I'd say grade 10 and 11, I start taking the game more serious. And I was like, okay, this is something I can actually do. And at the time, there was competition when I go home as well to play on the court that I mentioned in the introduction to episode 1. There's guys that will challenge me as soon as we finish our homework and go down to the court. But I remember it so vividly. Like it was like, you know what? Everybody in the community would know that I am one of the guys that I love playing soccer, but I'm a basketball guy. There's two guys. There's one guy called we used to call him Ninja. That's his nickname. But his nickname was Jordan as well. So I was like, all right, cool. He has that. Even though Michael Jordan is my idol, they call him Jordan. So I was like, all right, cool. They're gonna know my name either way. So my nickname was Kojak. I don't know how I got that nickname. I don't even remember how I got that nickname. But Kojak was my nickname. So, Kojak was the one that stick. And I know that Kojak was a basketball player. And saying that to say this, it's like I had my own identity now. So the tribe that I was trying to find, I found it through basketball. And I was like, all right, cool. I can roll with that. And even then, I don't know who I got this saying from. When I take a shot, I would say money. That means it's like cash. So I think the first time I played on a chain basketball net, when the shot goes in, it sounds like loose change. So it sounds like you're dropping loose change on the ground. So that's why I came up with the catchphrase money. Even until this day, I would say money when I take a shot, whether it's a 3-pointer or a mid-range jumper. I would say money, and it's like I don't know, like it's like full circle. Even playing Wednesday, Wednesday was what the 6th of March. I was just playing like I have a back spasm going on, but I was just playing. I was playing some real basketball. I don't think I was playing like some little baby basketball. Like I was playing post, but everything comes in the post. Even guys that I would normally just play, 50% defense on, I had probably like 7 block shots. Like I blocked about 7 shots in my first game, and I won 2 games and lost 2 games. And I was like, all right, that's enough for a night. So Wednesday I played 4 games, and each game consists of I don't know 20-25 minute game, and it's full court press. I'll be posting videos about some of those games that we play where I had my tournament on February 17th. But it's like it was, I don't know, like when you're playing ball, it's like therapy. That's for me. I'll say this in episode 1: playing basketball is like a mental health therapy for me. And every day, when I think back on it, every day that I used to play ball on that netball court, it kept me out of trouble. Because as I said, like Vince was one of the guys that we clicked right away. And if I was a follower, I would still be hanging out with him back then, get expelled with him back then, and still like linking up with him even after I got expelled. But I decided, you know what? Even though I'm a young teenager growing up back then, I'm gonna find my own path. I'm not gonna rely on somebody else to lead me astray, because that's really what it comes down to. If you're going to be a follower and not a leader, you're going to be led down a path that you don't want to be. So I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I am going to be the captain of my own ship from early on, where I was like, it doesn't matter who I was hanging out with, who I was having, link up with back then. It's going to be something that I grow to appreciate, that I can make my own decision and nobody have to convince me to do what they think is best for me. So I don't know if it's one of those things where you learn over time as a youth to be, you're gonna have to lead a family at some point in your life. Why not start being a leader now amongst your peers? And it doesn't mean that you have to lead them in everything that you're doing, but you don't have to follow everything that they're doing either. Lead your own path. So I'm gonna stop here because it's, as I said, it's an introduction. The first episode was the first part of the podcast was an introduction to episode 1. This is episode 1. So I'm gonna leave it at grade 11, where after graduating high school, I continue playing ball religiously every day on that really court that I fell in love with playing basketball with my older brother and his friends. And I would say my mentors growing up, playing ball with them was like, as I said, it was therapy for me. So I learned way back then in 93, going on 94, that this was going to be a sports I played for a long time. And I've never regretted after, the first love of basketball, I end up still playing after 40 years. I would say 31 years of my life here. I'm still playing basketball. Like I said, birthday's around the corner. It's going to be 31 years of playing basketball, and I'm still playing. I might have not made it to where I wanted to be, but there's a lot of stuff that I've accomplished that it's no knock on whoever made it to the NBA, but I can say that I still have a relationship with my family, my immediate family, which is wife and kids, and I still have relationships that, even though I didn't make millions of dollars playing basketball, I still have a healthy relationship with God, with siblings that I grew up with, and grow to know more over the last 15 years. Even though we lived apart from each other, we still kept communication. We still understand where each other are coming from, and had a better relationship as siblings, regardless of where we live, whatever we're doing, we still kept in touch. So, thank you for tuning in. I hope this podcast helped in some way, and I appreciate any feedback that might have come from this episode. Episode 1, March 8, 2024. And I'll try to make this on a weekly basis, but sometimes life gets in the way. Thank you again for tuning in, and have a blessed Friday. This is Friday, March 8, 2024, and I hope you have a blessed Friday. And whatever time you're listening to this, I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good afternoon. I hope you have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.